So now what we want to do is go through some project-specific examples to explain some of the concepts that were discussed previously. So here we want to discuss defining the baseline and particularly defining receptors. So this is a case study site from another EU project called Geo4 Civic, and a case study site from Ferrara in Italy, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And you can see that in the picture on the right-hand side, this is the Angel's Gate, which is one of the structures which is part of the old fortified walls of the city. And in that, there is a museum exhibition center to which a geothermal system was retrofitted as part of the project. It's a closed loop geothermal array, and it's actually a hybrid system with air source heat pumps and closed loop geothermal heat exchangers. You can see the location of the drilling there on the screen with the 4 wells. But you can see on the picture on the left-hand side, when you zoom out from the location of the project and you consider the surrounding environment, you can see that all of the individual houses, the businesses across the road, for example, would all be receptors, particularly at the construction phase, in relation to noise or potential vibration or indeed visual impact during the construction. So this is what we mean by defining the receptors. And you have to do this for each one of the topics that are covered in the common topics that are covered under the EIA directive. So you would have to do the same thing looking at groundwater aquifers when you're assessing hydrology and hydrogeology. You would have to consider soils and bedrock below the ground. You would have to consider traffic and transportation in terms of local roads and traffic hours. You would have to consider noise in terms of the background and so on. And we'll give you some examples of these in a minute. So to pick on noise, specifically in the noise chapter, this is an example from the same project, but a case study site from Ireland. In this case, you can see that we completed here a closed loop heat exchanger system with a ground source heat pump. And there are 3 boreholes, GHE1, GHE2, and GHE3, that were drilled in a really, really narrow driveway between 2 houses. So you can see immediately that the receptors, which are the 2 houses, immediately are going to be impacted at the construction phase and impacted quite considerably. So in this particular case study site, we used a down the hole hammer method. Generally, the noise levels are quite high. So we had to, before the start of the project and during the project, monitor our noise specifically during the construction phase. So you can see the baseline here, noise is 55.6, which is pretty standard for daytime in a sort of a residential town area. But during the drilling phase, we would have generated noise considerably higher than the baseline. So our mitigation measures, for example, were limiting working hours when people were not sleeping or had already gone to work. So there is little or no impact to the 2 immediate properties and indeed the ones that are around.